What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City match reaction, match review, match analysis, whatever you want to call it, for the match against Manchester United in the Manchester derby. Yeah, it didn't quite go to plan, that one, did it really, Blues? I've had a good day now or so to be able to sit on it and gather my composure and get my thoughts and reflection for this game, and actually really interesting game after seeing where the problems lie at Man City. I said that things weren't quite right, and I've managed to draw up a couple of conclusions as to where it isn't right. So in terms of finding a problem, it's good, so we can find a solution. In terms of what's on the pitch, though, not so great. If you're interested in enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe, help support my channel. We're smashed past 5,100 subscribers now, so thank you everyone for that. That is much appreciated. Why not aim for 5,200 subscribers? But yeah, thank you everyone for that. It's much appreciated. Make sure you subscribe, press that red button, press the bell, put your push notifications on. Social media links in description below and popping up on screen too. If you want to go and follow me on social media, on my Twitter and Instagram, then please feel free to do so. Don't forget also, leave your thoughts in the comments below for this game. What do you think the problems are? Where did it go wrong? And what can we do to put it right? Are we out of the title race too? Please let me know your thoughts of that in the comments below, and don't forget also leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. So I'm going to crack on with this video and first just go through the match first before we start talking about where the problems lie. So same team that started v Burnley near enough, apart from John Stones came in for Nicholas Otamendi. Bit harsh on Otamendi I thought, in my opinion. Angelino starting again, found that quite interesting with Mendy sitting on the bench, so obviously more trust going into Angelino. For Manchester United, surprising, saw Martial start. I didn't know how fit he was, but turns out he was extremely fit and was raring to go, and ended up causing Man City a lot of problems, and Manchester United went with a nice attacking team, which surprised me. So I thought this would be a nice open game, which to me always suits Manchester City. So yeah, things went wrong. First half, very open game. First 15 minutes, quite a few opportunities were created, a couple of good opportunities for both sides. More Manchester United had better opportunities, testing Ederson with a couple of shots straight to Ederson, so causing him no particular problems, but none of them were converted. More importantly for City, when creating opportunities, didn't put any in the back of the net, which ultimately means 23 minutes in, Marcus Rashford ends up going down. No penalty was given. VAR had a look and penalty was given. A lot of people will be thinking VAR's against us. I was more thinking, my first instinct was penalty, and I was surprised the penalty wasn't given. And the more I watched replays, the more I was thinking, I can understand why the referee didn't give a penalty. Now, to me, if it was Man City in the other end, I would want a penalty. Bernardo Silva doesn't really play the ball, takes down the man. When you're in the penalty area, you run that risk when you miss the ball and take down the man, particularly with the knee contact and the barging, that the player goes down. You're running the risk that a penalty is going to be given. It's stupid, it's silly, and the penalty was given. I feel like if it was Man City, though, like, I am going to be a little bit biased. I'm a Man City fan after all, but I feel like if it was City in the other end, like, we wouldn't get a penalty. We just don't seem to have the rub of the green really with VAR. But I was more on, why was Bernardo doing that to even give anyone the excuse to give a penalty? Because Rashford, whilst he'd done a couple of good skills and twisting and turning, had like 2 or 3 players around him who was going absolutely nowhere. Why did he do that? I don't know. Rashford then takes the penalty and puts it in the back of the net. Good for Man United, because Manchester United, not been too brilliant on penalties, weren't the greatest of penalties, but sent Ederson the wrong way and ends up making it 1-0. Then we had big problems because 29 minutes, just 6 minutes later after that penalty goal, Martial managed to find it on the counter-attack and ended up smacking it into the near post, onto the post and in. Difficult for the keeper to be able to save. He'll be disappointed to be beaten at his near post, but Ederson looked really angry with the defending, in particular with Angelino, and it's justified in my opinion, because the defending is weak. You see, you know that he wants to twist and turn and have a shot is what's happened, and the fact that Angelino doesn't stick out or try and block the shot is extremely disappointing. Because that doesn't happen, it allows the opportunity to come where they could score, and they ended up doing so. So yeah, that's really disappointing. But by the end of the half, Man United hit the crossbar. They had 4 or 5 extremely good chances, and in my opinion should easily have had at least 3 or 4 goals going into this game at half time. So I felt like City were just miles away. We were dreadful, we were horrendous, we were overrun in defence. It was too easy for Man United on the counter-attack. It was a bold call by Solskjaer to be able to come in and play attacking football and go with that many attacking players and look to have an extra spring in their step. But I thought the influential midfield, I thought that McTominay had a good game, but I thought in particular Fred had a good game in being able to distribute to the counter-attack. It linked up really well, particularly with Martial and Rashford. Man City found it difficult. We always find it difficult being ran at. I felt like Man United's decision-making at times was a little bit off, particularly always trying to thread it down their left-hand side, so they was having to deal with Kyle Walker. I think they'd have been better going towards the City left-hand side or Man United's right-hand side, because where James was, because Angelino was just having a torrid time of it, really. So yeah, I feel like that's something that City do need to address. It's something that we've not really properly addressed, because we've got an injury-prone Benjamin Mendy, and we've just signed a player that's a bit raw and needs a couple of seasons to be able to develop. Like, we don't know how good Angelino is going to be. I think he's a good attacking player in terms of defensive capabilities, though. It's a bit suspect, and I feel like he'd be probably better suited if City were playing 5 at the back, which is something that we've played before but haven't really experimented with this season, which is why we've become all too predictable, really. One note I will make, though, is I was very disappointed not to get a penalty right towards the end of the half. The ball was played over. I think it was Fred sliding in. The ball ended up going over and hitting his arm and then going out for a corner. Corner was given rather than a penalty. VAR did have a look. Now, to me, he could get his arm out of the way of the ball, but he knows that there's a Jesus is at the near post. He knows he doesn't want that ball to go across, and so he's happy, whilst he's holding his balance, to use it as ball to hand as his excuse. To me, the player knows exactly what he's doing to stop that ball from being pulled across, and I think that this handball rule is stupid, because to me, it wasn't a handball, but with the new handball rulings and stuff like that, it's just strange, because if it's the other way round and City is sliding in and it hits an attacking player's arm before being tapped in, the goal gets disallowed, yet the defensive side's always got an advantage. If that's the Champions League, penalties given. The match against Liverpool as well with Trent Alexander-Arnold, where it hit him on the arm, a penalty's given. I think there was another case, a couple of arm cases in this game in the Manchester derby. Champions League, penalties would be given. Man United have felt the impact of these handballs before in the Champions League, so it's coming a bit difficult when you're getting one rule in the Premier League and one rule in the Champions League. But like I said, we don't get the rub of the green with VAR, whether it's Champions League or Premier League. We're just not liked, just how it is. But that's not an excuse for poor performances, and that first half defensive performance was borderline disgraceful in my opinion. Second half, we're just poor, really poor. I put all huff, no puff. That's the best way for me to describe it. Too slow, too passive, too pedestrian, took us too long to get going. To me, we looked our most dangerous on set pieces, but brought Otamendi on, was winning headers and doing basically alright on set pieces, so it came as no surprise, 5 minutes remaining, that we managed to get a goal from an Otamendi header from a set piece. We had a couple of good opportunities with set pieces and headers that I felt like it's something that we probably could have been targeting. We like to walk it and pass it around from corners, like, just put the ball, we've got Kevin De Bruyne, he's a brilliant crosser of the ball, put that ball on the spot, cross it in, get the men forward, win them headers. Was winning some headers from corners. It was good, so I don't understand why we didn't do it more. Like, it's not pretty, but you know, it works. It did work. I don't know, it just took us way too long to get going, and to me just a bit clueless and a bit lacklustre really from City in the end. And Manchester United could have and should have perhaps scored more, but they got the 3 points, they won't care. Matches against Tottenham and Man City, Solskjaer's job was on the line. They ended up coming out with 2 very good wins. So for City, another loss, another disappointing performance. Our home form now, drew against Tottenham, lost against Wolves and lost against Manchester United. That's not good. It isn't good. So we'll have a look at the stats first before we start speaking about my opinions on what needs to change at City and what went right for Man United and what went wrong for City in this game. 72% possession for City, 28% for Man United. 22 shots from City, 11 for Man United, so half the amount of shots. 5 on target from City and 22 shots. That's not good enough. Clinical. Clinical is being key. The build-up play and attacking is key. It's also key in defence. 11 shots, 7 on target from United, 2 goals. So the problems are there. And the biggest problem I've got is you can speak about attack and scoring goals and putting your chances away, but it's getting to a point where we need to score 2 or 3 goals per game to be able to pick up 3 points. we should be able to, if we're not feeling too clinical on a day, on off days, which are becoming more and more, by the way, which is very disappointing. That does need addressing. But when we're not clinical, we're still more than capable of scoring 1 or 2 goals, and scoring 1 or 2 goals in games, particularly at home, we should be more than good enough defensively to be able to keep clean sheets and just all concede just 1 goal. We keep conceding first, and whilst we're doing that, putting ourselves under pressure, rushing our play, and that's where we start putting crosses in, because we look a bit clueless. So we're lacking leaders on the pitch, in my opinion, is what them stats are suggesting to me. 660 passes from City, 89% pass completion rate, nothing wrong with that at all. 268 passes from United, 75% pass completion rate. Key passes, City ended up having more, creating a couple of clear-cut chances too. 47 crosses we put into the box, connecting with just 7. 47 balls into the box in a game. That's like, it's an average of like 1.5 minutes nearly, or like, you know, every 2 minutes or so we're putting a cross into the box. We're a team that's not very tall, right? We don't like to commit loads of men forward. We send 2 or 3 men forward at a time. An attack of Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva and Gabriel Jesus, not one of them players is 6 foot or over. United's defence is a lot taller, and we're putting crosses into the box. I don't understand that philosophy. I put it down to going 1-0 behind, 2-0 behind, panicking and not knowing what to do, working the ball out wide because they know how to do that, they're not knowing what to do in the final third. So whilst I can criticise the defence, the attack rightfully should be criticised too, because it's not good enough. Tackles, City 7 successful tackles out of 14. Man United 12 out of 19 better. Man United more aggressive, more attacking, and I felt like, in my opinion, they wanted it more in this game. With a Manchester derby, I feel like City are just going through the motions. I feel like City's done the domestic treble, they've won the Premier League, they know what they're doing, they know how to do it, that the motivation really isn't there. We've got to the pinnacle. We were challenged by Liverpool and rose to the challenge. The next challenge being able to retain the Premier League, winning the domestic treble, breaking all the records, got right to the very top. The expectations there now that people are disappointed when it doesn't go to plan, and it's not always going to go to plan, and I recognise that, but it's gotten to a point now where we've got to the pinnacle and we've fallen, and so it's very difficult getting to the top. It's even more difficult being able to stay there, and that's where they're struggling with the motivation. Adding a couple of injuries, adding a leader on the pitch like Vincent Kompany leaving, and this is ending up what you get with. And it's like we've taken 2 steps forward and then taken 2 steps back, and we're back at the point where we've had Pep in his first season, where the squad, to me, aging. Some of the players looking very tired and not up to the demand of the Premier League and the demand that City are wanting. I feel like, might get some dislikes for this, but I feel like Pep Guardiola should be sharing some of the blame here, not changing things up. So Fernandinho at centre-back, like, it's just evident he's not a centre-back, and he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, and he should be playing in that position. Play somebody else at centre-back. We've got Otamendi and John Stones now fit again. We've got Eric Garcia, a good level-headed young player. Put these players in. These results start happening with young players in, I can forgive. Senior players, though, and not changing it comes a little bit less difficult to be forgiven. Now, we don't have a right to win every single game. I recognise that. I don't expect us to win every single game, but I do expect us to be able to try and work hard and put in good quality performances, which this season, all too familiar, it hasn't happened. And so that does need addressing, and that I'll put down to coaching, because while some of the players might be towards the end of their careers, or some of the players might not be of the quality that City are looking for, majority of the players are still fantastic football players, then players that did break all them records, that have still got plenty left to give. And we needed a little bit more. We need to start changing things up, getting things fresh, and start making things or playing systems that worked. Like I said, 5 at the backs worked previously when we changed things up, when things were happening with injury crises. We've got Benjamin Mendy, who's a brilliant left wing back rather than a left back. Angelino can play there too. We brought in Cancelo, who can play right wing back. Try 5 at the back. Move Kyle Walker into centre back. Try something new. Fernandinho defensive midfield, Bernardo Silva into the central midfield, Raheem Sterling on the right hand side rather than the left hand side, considering we've got left footed football players like Bernardo Silva and Riyad Mahrez that can play on either flank. Try playing Raheem Sterling up front, not playing a striker, playing 6 in midfield, something. It's just not happened. It's just always the same, and it's particularly disappointing because it's not working. Teams have sussed it, they know how it is. Sit deep, hurt City with pace, play pace up front. That's all you need to do, is what teams are sussing, and it's becoming more and more evident that City are struggling when being ran at. That I put down to defence, and one injury to Aymeric Laporte, and all of a sudden it's just filtered away. So yeah, pretty disappointing. I will make one note. We beat Burnley 4-1, and I said it was a lot better. I did put that down to partly Burnley playing the way that Man City wanted them to play, because they were poor and they allowed us space, and they allowed us to do what we wanted to do. Majority of the Premier League teams will not do that. Wolves didn't do it. Norwich didn't do it. Swansea, even last season in the Championship, when we played them in the FA Cup, didn't do it. Tottenham's not done it. Chelsea didn't do it, even though we beat them. These are difficult teams that we need to be switched on. We really do need to be switched on, and they need to find a way of breaking down the barrier, and the easiest way of doing that is scoring first. Something we were brilliant at in the last 2 seasons, and it's something that's escaping us. And one thing that we can do about that is to be nice and aggressive for the first 15 minutes. And whilst we're getting better at playing in the first 15 minutes, and we're the top scorers in the first 15 minutes, it's actually crucial for City to score in the first 15 or 20 minutes and score first. Have to be done, puts the team under pressure. That's where we get space. That's where we could start thinking about scoring 2 goals. But to me, just too many little teething problems at City. That there's just too many cracks there that need to be addressed. There's other stuff we can be doing. More shots from outside the box, chips, 1-2s, quick play, moving it across one flank to the other, things like that. Just cutting it out, just a slow repeat of passing it isn't working at this moment in time. So we're needing just a little bit more. Worked against Crystal Palace, some lovely chips over, I remember, from Raheem Sterling chipped it over to David Silva. Great assist, fantastic. I want to see a little bit more of that. It happened towards the end of the game in this, where we brought Riyad Mahrez on, having shots and making things happen. That's what we needed to be doing from the whistle blowing in the first half, really, to start the game. That's what we needed. So yeah, I think the last note I made is David Silva. I love David Silva. I think he's a wonderful player. He's showing signs that his legs are no longer there for the Premier League, and he should be phased out at Manchester City. Contract's up at the end of the season. He'll more than likely be leaving Man City. Perfect opportunity. We've got a fresh young kid, Phil Foden, plenty of potential, sitting on the bench, not playing. I think that's sad. If I'm completely honest, it's sad. I think David Silva's a wonderful player. I feel like he needs a 3 or 4 game rest, then playing him maybe 1 game, then giving him a rest, then 1 game, then giving him a rest, because David Silva, whilst he's working hard and trying his best, and I fully appreciate that, we are needing a bit of oomph and a little bit more, and we're needing fresh legs, particularly in the middle of the park, one area that we're struggling. We're getting it out wide, and that's all fine and well. Defensively, it's a problem when being hit on the counter-attack, but we need a little bit more in midfield. So I'm looking for a little bit more in the centre of the park. And like I said, I feel like Fernandinho in there, a bit of fresh legs with Phil Foden, might just work the trick. I don't know. Otherwise, we're going to have to start sorting things out with January transfer window, selling players if needed be, to bring players in, because things need addressing, and they need addressing as soon as possible. That's in January, not thinking about it in the summer, because people are saying get rid of the Premier League, we can't win the Premier League now. We've got a scrap on our hands, if I'm completely honest, if these performances continue for a top 4. It's only due to the inconsistencies of Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Wolves even too, that we're not facing a difficult battle as of yet for the top 4, because at the moment we're miles behind Liverpool, and the poor performances are adding up. So we need to do a little bit more, and if that means selling a couple of players and bringing a couple of players in January and spending big, then so be it. If it's a rebuild job, start it now rather than the summer before it's too late. People are saying they're happy with a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. With back-to-back Premier League champions, domestic trebles, breaking records, we all know the level that City are playing at, and Liverpool too, that if you're not winning the Premier League or the Champions League, you're going to mark that season as unsuccessful. That's how the club's top the boards and the people at the top will be thinking, and that's how the club will be thinking. So yeah, if we want to be at that level, we're going to need to address, yes, having Laporte and Sane will help, and that will be a much needed boost for us, particularly for the last 16 in the Champions League. We're not playing the Champions League till February, and it's a long time between now and February. Imagine if this form continues for the next 2 months. Yeah, it's not ideal preparation for the Champions League, and if we want to be beating the very best in the Champions League, you need to be playing very well and putting in good performances when you're playing in the Premier League. So yeah, it's all about momentum for me. So things need sorting, so I'd love to know your thoughts of that in the comments below. Sorry the video's been so long, but there's just so much to say. When City lose, it hurts a little bit more, but the Manchester derby, there's more evidence now more than ever that there's problems at City, there's cracks there, and they need to be ironed out. We've got the January transfer window coming up. We need Pep to be doing a little bit more, changing things up and making things unpredictable, see how things go, start asking questions of the teams rather than them other teams asking questions of us. So there we go. Love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all again for the next video, which will be the preview for the Champions League game, which ideally we wanted to rest players for going into the midweek game, the weekend game against Arsenal, but I feel like it's more evident now than ever that we need a bit of a confidence boost, so I'd probably go with a little bit more of a stronger side than perhaps necessary, considering we've already sealed first place, but I'll give you more details of that when I give you my video, which will be up in like a day or two's time, so stay tuned for that. So it's been JSGC. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Down but not out. Peace. Ciao for now.